All right, Erica Lorraine Spencer here. This is the P.O.C. And the following is real-time documentation of what was federal group stalking and monitoring in the work setting where I was on the job at engaged in what is property management on behalf of the people of the state of California. Your employer that is monitoring you, your coworkers that are monitoring you, they are in those capacities engaged in corporate invasion of privacy by entity, engaged in molestation of your person repeatedly. That is sexual violence that you are subject to in the work setting while the state is acting directly, stalking by planes and helicopters and stalking by light, literally the state's fake sun over this venue, in direct conflict with every other location where I have already documented, I have already established the state is engaged in this pattern of conduct. This is documentation showing how that exact same pattern of conduct continues in this work environment. Country Village Apartments is nothing but a third party. They are agents of what is Beacon Property Management, a third party. Understand that is a brand, that is a company name. It is a means of identifying nothing but a method of engaging in the state's pattern of conduct in the same way that Amazon Prime, FedEx, UPS, even USPS, you can HB Communications, you can look to Matson, you can look to Seco, you can look to every brand that I've documented where the exact same elements remain present, where the state is stalking with light, where the state is monitoring me by the presence of such actors. That's a third party under the guise of a brand. It is no different. And it is relevant for showing how the public entity is ceaselessly engaged in the pattern of conduct in every type of venue, which, by the way, being in the work setting or being in a private space or being out in public inside of a private space or being in your home, which is also a private space, and also being out in public where the state is engaged in that same pattern of conduct, you are showing how the system is ceaselessly underway. That system is monitoring with communication devices in concert with the people of the state of California. It is also that which is speaking to how you are tailoring federal legislation for the people's engagement in that pattern of conduct in each type of setting. And so this is the presence of all elements at a work setting. This is the malicious system in ceaseless operation. They are engaged in sexual violence, subject in the capacity of an employer, in the capacity of co-workers engaging in that sexual violence. And it is no different. It is that which is to be addressed at federal prosecution. This is that which is an unprecedented level of what is a hostile work environment while they are maliciously engaging in the state's pattern of conduct. Documented videos of the state stalking by helicopter, the state stalking by aircraft, the state stalking with its directed light inside of the building, the state stalking with its fake sun over the building and remaining for the duration of the day. And this is that which is all a communication also of a threat by this third party in the capacity of an employer, of an employee, all of whom are engaged in group stalking in the workplace. They are not present in their individual capacities. They are not speaking, acting, or engaging in any act of what is relevant positioning where the public entity is monitoring you. They are engaged in group stalking in the workplace. And this is documentation of that malicious conduct, which is inherently sexually violent. And in my documentation, I want to go ahead and speak now to some of those third parties that are documented and documented by name as I experienced them or encountered them or was able to capture that information. This is merely a means of identifying what is the same group. Country Village Apartments, and that is the not only the employees, those are every type of employee, third-party vendors, that is also including the residents, also prospects. So you're talking about in the nature of property management, they are engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring under the guise of property management, literally using the phone as the phone rings. It is a means of stalking with activity, the creation of light activity while I'm sitting at a desk, while the state is monitoring too that the ladies in the office, I do not want to refer to them as ladies, but they are criminals and they are sex offenders all the same, and they are engaged in repeated systematic violation of my person, molesting with light every time they open the door, and using that means as a systematic means of molesting with light while what is entirely unnatural light occurring and swiping through the room. This is what everything that I'm documenting. I'm just giving what is a preface as to what you're going to listen to, and that which I captured in pictures and which I captured in video, and the names of many of these is employees of what is a Beacon Property Management is the employer. The property management company is the employer of many of these. But with property management, as I am working through a contractor, which is Jennifer Trusty Solutions Partners, understand, subject to monitoring, fully aware of who I am, and subjecting me to that, fully engaged in the same exact P.O.C. So the initiation of that work assignment, where I am placed to engage and work on behalf of JTSP, Jennifer Trusty Solutions Partner, understand that that company is nothing but another identification of the people of the state acting through that company, systematically monitoring the same actor as Country Village. You are getting to what is understanding and what you are looking at, the forest from the trees. For purposes of prosecution, you are understanding how the state is acting directly. Planes, helicopters, police, fire, and ambulance, how the state is acting vicariously. The people of the state who also engage in using their private residences, their private vehicles, their commercial company vehicles, their place of business, their professional place of business. It is the same group engaging in different methods of the same criminal system, which is monitoring with communication devices in violation of existing federal law, which is 18 U.S.C. section 2261A. That is subsections 1 and subsections 2. And I want to get to the significance of the people as I documented in this work setting, this particular work setting, specifically identifying this actor within that same group, which is the people of the state of California. This is Beacon Property Management. I understand they are engaging in the provision of a template of what the people of the state of California are ceaselessly engaged in. Psychopath group conduct, which is sexually violent, while it is criminal monitoring on a massive scale, okay? All of the elements present and all of the hallmarks present. The state engaging in stalking via police, fire, and ambulance, sirens, while I'm on the job, while these psychopaths that you are working with are in your face, engaging in what is supposed to be training you, while directed light is sweeping all across the wall in front of you and all around you, while the state is sounding sirens all around you and they are maintaining presence, while the state is flying over the building in helicopter, which is amplified inside of the office, while they are surrounding you inside and patrolling in and out of the building. This is the state's pattern of conduct in operation at that work setting. This is an unprecedented level of that which is never addressed by federal legislation. This is harassment on the job. This is sexual harassment, sexual violation of the person which you are employing while you're monitoring them, engaging in corporate invasion of privacy inside of a private space at that work setting, engaging in that level of a communication of all manner of a threat by an entity while you are acting on behalf of that entity. And it is the absence of coincidence while the state's directed light is inside of that venue, all around on the outside of that venue, while the state's fake sun is over that venue and remaining over that venue, while the state is stalking by helicopter over that venue and airplanes over you and over that venue, while the exact same behavior pattern that is translated into the analysis which is applicable in the work environment. And this is directly attributed to the people. And this is that which is applying to what is Country Village, the specific actor that is being identified as engaged in the state's P.O.C., where I remain subject to federal group stalking and monitoring. Okay, so the employers identify in the capacity of an employer engaged in the state's pattern of conduct and maliciously so, captured in picture and in video and in audio. And I just want to go ahead and make sure I correctly use their names. And this is only some of whom are that I'm specifically noting. I'm specifically noting those who I were surrounded by, those who surrounded me, in the office primarily. But it's surrounding with, if you're familiar with multifamily residential communities and property management, you have what are the maintenance personnel, those who primarily are working outdoors, out in the community. They are engaging in patrolling in and out. The state is amplifying audible activity. So this is the maintenance personnel. This is the office personnel. This is the actors, those who actually reside on the property and those who are coming under the guise of inquiring about living at the property. All of them are systematically monitoring. And it is that which is captured. This community is armed with surveillance cameras. And what it is captured on the cameras is the P.O.C. It's not ordinary conduct. You're not looking at people just walking and driving around. You're looking at what is relevant position. You're looking at what is group stalking while I am present on the grounds, while the state is present with directed light, while the state is present with its fake sun over the venue. It is proof of presence, and it is that which is occurring and based on and centered on what I am doing as I am doing it. And that is the significance of what surveillance cameras are capturing. And so with regard to Country Village personnel, those in the capacity of employer and employee, Michael Beacon, engaging in the state's pattern of conduct. He is, I believe, the employer of Beacon Property Management. On the grounds at Country Village, while the state is sounding sirens, communicating a threat, engaged in the exact same behavioral pattern. And this is that which was documented while I'm on the grounds. And he is present, acting and facilitating this criminal conduct, this incredibly threatening conduct with those in the office around me, those who he employs, including Grace CUAUTLE. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. She's the heavy-set Latina female on camera, patrolling back and forth in front of my desk while the state's directed light is directly over the wall above her, which she is fully aware of. You are looking at the face of malice. You are looking at what is demonic activity in your face. All right. Entirely aware of the fact that that directed light is present while the state's fake sun is over that building. And she is not merely walking in front of me. She is engaging in the relevant position. She's group stalking while I'm operating my communication device. She's monitoring and she's doing it on camera. And this is what you are looking at. So you are stripping it down from the outward guise behind which a public entity, because that's who she is. She's not present at work in an individual capacity. This is the government that is engaged in relevant positioning on camera with simultaneity to my operation of my communication device while the state's engineered light is on the walls inside of the venue. It is the absence of coincidence, and that is how you are breaking down what you are looking at and everything that I am documenting. And so Michael Bond engaged in P.O.C. and criminally facilitating that P.O.C., which is adding to the threat. That is an unprecedented level of a threat in a work setting while the employer, those you are doing business on their behalf and you are subject to this malicious form of hostility in the work environment. While you're monitoring, that's that's an unprecedented level of hostility in the workplace. It is that which is threatening your life, your physical safety, and your overall well-being while they are engaged in the state's pattern of conduct. And that's Michael Bond. Pat Caldwell, also in the capacity of an employer, documented heavily engaging in the P.O.C. both on the surveillance cameras at that venue and while I have documented on video and in images while she is engaged in the state's pattern of conduct. Andrea Marquez, Cecilia Murillo, Grace CUAUTLE, it's spelled CUAUTLE, and Kimberly Jones. She is the heavy-set African-American female with short, curly blonde hair. And you have what is Jim COTTOM. He is the he is the supervisor for the maintenance team, all of whom were engaged in systematic patrolling surrounding the office building, coming in and out of the office building, and making loud noise as they do so. So that's the creation of audible activity while they are patrolling as a group. That was systematic means of the maintenance personnel engaging in monitoring, and the office personnel, the ladies who I'm naming: Cecilia, Andrea, Grace, Kimberly, Crystal Jones, the assistant manager, and Marissa Ramirez, I believe. FLORY, CALDERON. These are examples, the systematic means whereby they engaged in monitoring conduct, opening up the door, which is right beside the desk where I was placed. And as every single time that door was opened, the state's directed light sweeping through that room, all the way from the door, moving around the room to what is in front of me where they had a television placed by what is a fireplace in that office. Absolutely impossible light activity. And it is also light that was molesting my person, moving across the desk, light appearing on the walls inside. And I captured much of this also on the ceilings where the state kept what was stationary light as well as the systematic means of molestation. Every time they got up, and this is on camera, every time they got up to open that door, okay, you're talking 20, 30 times in a day, repeatedly sexually molesting my person, and intentionally so. This is sexual violence in the workplace. And that's the state's pattern of conduct, and they're engaging in that pattern of conduct at work, all right? That is sexual violence. That is the communication of a threat. They are literally threatening your life while they're monitoring you. Helicopters flying over while they're molesting you with light. All right, while they're surrounding you inside and outside, acting in concert with the residents and both those who come under the guise of engaging in inquiring about living at the property, applying or just asking about the property. Understand it is all a means of maintaining presence. The state was engaged in nothing but federal group stalking and monitoring at this work setting, and it was all serving P.O.C. So they can fill out an application, they can move in, they can move out, they can come in and turn in some paperwork that they're stating that it does not matter. It is serving the state's P.O.C. Okay, and this is how the public entity engages in that malicious system and ceases operation, and in no way hindered, in no way pausing, in no way stopping whatsoever while at the job that I was placed at by JTSP, that is Jennifer Trusty Solutions Partner, whom I have a former working relationship with NPM Staffing, National Property Management Staffing, where I was subject to ceaseless monitoring, unbeknownst to me at that time before I started documenting it. But what was the hallmark I was subject to, which was the hallmark, which is why I stopped going to work for this company at these different properties, was because of the harassment. All right, so they were monitoring, and the hallmark of that, before I was aware of the fact that I was monitoring, the hallmark was present, which was following me around at the workplace, and also harassment. Systematic harassment, which followed me from where I was doing, practicing law, chiefly in downtown Los Angeles. And so I stopped practicing law due to the harassment I was subject to while practicing law. Understand that hallmark present as I go to a whole other industry, which is property management, in an entirely different region, San Bernardino County from Los Angeles County, and this same pattern of being subject to harassment on the job while the state was monitoring me. And this is before I started documenting what is federal group stalking and monitoring with communication devices. But that hallmark remained present, which I was aware of the fact that I was being systematically harassed, and I stopped going to work for that reason. Understand, harassment is a hallmark, and this is that which is speaking to what I also capture as you document the criminal conduct, which is supposed to be a secret system practiced by the government, which it is entirely hostile to. This is why you are engaging in criminal acts of obstruction of justice, by the way, the abduction of my person by the police, the criminal defamation by the courts, by the jails who are engaging in ongoing abduction of my person, kidnapping, of keeping me in jail while maintaining what is a fictitious prosecution, going to extreme and unheard of lengths to conceal the fact that I am documenting what is an unprecedented level of a criminal system by a state, by a public entity, the state of California. The more and more I documented it, the farther and farther you get into what is an entire existence of a system. And so this system in operation at Country Village, and these are the actors, some of whose names I improperly noted, and I believe my audio documentation cut off. And so I just want to make clear that not only have I captured in my pictures the names and the list of names of those employees. Understand this is identifying, and it is relevant for purposes of prosecuting, identifying as many third parties as you can, but they are part of the same group, which is the people of the state of California, who are the vicarious actors of that entity that is stalking you, that entity that is monitoring you, okay, at every single venue. And this is the venue of a workspace where the targeted individual, as I have shown, and as is common sense follows, understand this is why you are subject to a threat which you have a right to not be subject to. So the people of the state of California who are in the capacity of employing you, in the capacity of interviewing you for an employment opportunity, in the capacity of working with you and harassing you while they're monitoring you, this is that which is having a detrimental impact on your economic status. All right. It has nothing to do with the mental state of the targeted individual, contrary to what the state's pattern of conduct seeks to establish. And this is why you document it. But what I am showing is this has nothing to do with my ability to work, my willingness to work, my ability to provide for myself. I went to law school, I practiced law, and my status is fully attributed to the state who was monitoring in that workspace. And this is why I stopped working, practicing law, because I was subject to that systematic harassment by officers of the court, okay, by those who are a part of the California bar. They're criminals engaging in the same exact pattern of conduct where the state's fake sun was over me, where I was in Los Angeles before I was aware of the fact. Okay, the fact that that which was supposed to be the sun was always over my head everywhere that I went, like during the day. And that's why I started noticing it. Also because I was getting burned, and I've never been sunburned in my life. And also the fact where in California, where you're chiefly driving around everywhere, you're in a car. You need a car everywhere in California. So while I'm in my car driving to work, and while I am, or wherever I'm living, studying for the California bar, going to work, going back home, you're not outside noticing the fact that there is always a sun over your head everywhere that you're going. But when you are outside and exposed to that element, this is where the pattern of conduct is unveiled, okay? And this is why you are unaware of it as a targeted individual. You're not fully aware while you're driving around in your car that there's the state is stalking you with a light source, because it's monitoring you in concert with everybody who was around you, including while you're at work and while you're at your home and while you are in public in transit anywhere. Okay. That's how the state is systematically monitoring. And so I am showing how what has been the state's pattern of conduct for a very long time. I am showing what the state is doing and how it is that which is, pervasive into every aspect of your life, obviously. This is why, by the way, again, like I stated, it has a direct impact on your right to, I believe and fully do still believe, I have a right to not be subject to this sort of harassment, to this sort of invasion of privacy. It's disgusting. If you can imagine, you're at a workplace and you know that everybody there is listening to you as you're using the toilet, as you are engaging in that private, everyone in there, that's disgusting. Okay. And those are psychopaths. Those are sex offenders. Those are demented and depraved individuals acting corporately as a group. And they are listening to you because this is why and how they are able to stalk with activity and stalk with their presence where you are. While you're in that bathroom, if you make any sudden move, understand they are manning the path. The P.O.C. does not ever stop. And that is that which is very, very disturbing to be around in a work environment. And that's what the public entity is engaged in corporately. Okay. You have a right to not be subject to that. But even before then, it was just the harassment. And also the people of the state, in that capacity of employer where you are going to interview, and they're monitoring you while you're interviewing and denying you that employment on no grounds. It has nothing to do with your experience. You're being subject to corporate monitoring, and the state is engaged in interference with your professional life, okay, your personal life, your private life, every single aspect. And I'm showing how the people of the state of California, that vicarious actor, is fully engaged in that. And this is heavily documented, the denial of work related opportunities while they're monitoring, the engagement in harassment while I'm on an interview, the denial of work opportunities. And this is while the state has been monitoring me. And now, opting to basically enforce my right to not be subject to that, and going back into the work environment for the purpose of documenting the people of the state of California who are acting with that public entity that is already established as stalking, and that stalking continues in that work environment. This is that which is relevant to federal prosecution, and with regard to the punishment of that public entity acting via the people as well, engaging in what is the literal intrusion of the professional life, the personal and private life of the targeted individual. That is myself. And this is showing how you are subject to this pattern of conduct. And this is what I want to get to. The work opportunities that I am with full knowledge going into and that are being denied. Okay, you're talking about country village apartments. This is property management, a position that I am overqualified for. Okay, and no hiccups, no issues with my work performance whatsoever. And any claim of that is coming out of the mouth of a third-party group stalker who is monitoring me on the job. There is absolutely no form whatsoever making such claims legitimate where the public entity is monitoring me and monitoring me at a work setting. And this is going to what is the impossibility. It is absolutely impossible for that targeted individual to genuinely be able to maintain work while the public entity is monitoring you. Okay, it is absolutely impossible to maintain true, genuine control of your financial state while the public entity is monitoring you. And this is speaking to that financial devastation that reasonably precipitates from a public entity monitoring you. And this is exactly what I have documented as I abruptly move from what is my home when I'm realizing that I'm being monitored. Without using that verbiage, I just realized that my communication devices were being tampered with in my home, and that my privacy was being invaded, and that absolute strangers were crowding around outside of my apartment. Every time I go out to empty the trash, or every time I go to my car or something from my apartment, you have people that are waiting around on the side streets in the parking lot, crowding around, like congregating around. And this was happening also as I am driving. Absolute strangers that are literally following me, and they're different people. And I just started documenting it. And this is that which has increased in the state's level of aggression, such that it has been neatly compiled into what is the state's pattern of conduct. What are they doing? They're not just stalking for no reason. They're monitoring. Okay. And it is the state that is monitoring. And this monitoring conduct has a direct correlation, a direct impact, which is an unprecedented level of devastation of a financial nature to what is my credit, which was in excellent condition, okay, and the ability to go to work not subject to monitoring. You have a right to not be subject to invasion of privacy in a private while you're using the bathroom, to be subject to harassment, to be subject to monitoring, and everything that goes into the pattern of conduct of monitoring. You have a right to not be subject to that. That's a whole other level of being threatened, having your life threatened on the job. And while they are monitoring you, and then engaging in harassment while you're documenting that. This is all serving documentation of that. It goes right into the work environment. Everything documented, all of that P.O.C. right into the work environment. And it's almost as though I am working backwards, because I am showing what I was subject to unbeknownst to me. Didn't know that they were monitoring, but I was being harassed. And this was the control of that public entity while I was denied work opportunities I was fully qualified for, that I otherwise should have been able to attain. This is speaking to the quote unquote hardship to attain work as an attorney. And this is the hardship of being able to work as an attorney without being subject to systematic harassment. And this is that which I've documented, leaving certain jobs, and then altogether leaving that workforce because of that pattern of being subject to harassment, and the very weird conduct of what is a pattern now that is documented, but the very weird conduct of being followed around while I'm at work, following me into the bathroom, following me while I go on a break, following me while I go to lunch, and again, unaware of the fact that it was a monitoring system in operation. And so this is just going to what I have documented at Country Village. This is in no way separate to what I was subject to as I was practicing law. This is an ongoing criminal act by a government acting vicariously through the people. Country Village is providing a template of what the people of the state of California have been engaged in for years while I have been subject to monitoring. The people have been monitoring me in concert and on behalf of the government, that is the state of California, and acting in the capacity of employer, discrimination and harassment while monitoring me, applying for jobs on Indeed, monitoring via the internet on my computers. And this is that which was the denial of employment, which I otherwise should have had, the unfair treatment and harassment on the job, the invasion of privacy, the sexual violence that I'm subject to on the job, while as a lawyer practicing law and in the field of property management, which I also did as well. And this is with the company of Mobility, that is a telephone infrastructure company that I worked for in Orange County in 2017. And I did that through what is special counsel. That is, that office was in Orange County, a documented harassment, which I reported to the human resources. Again, this is the system in operation, which I did not know, okay, not handling that issue. And I was summarily dismissed from that job. So this is harassment, and then reporting it as you're supposed to do. You get no justice there. You are summarily dismissed from that job, a job which I was excellent at doing, a job which I was subject to systematic harassment by officers of the court. Okay, those are those who claim to be lawyers working in that office, engaging in monitoring me and engaging in systematic harassment. All right. Also engaged in the sexual violence inherent to that pattern of conduct. And this is the same with Mandarich Law Group, where I worked in 2016, Ryan Voss, and Christopher Mandarich. I worked for this office for a very short time, as soon as the office treatment, being subject to harassment again, which I also documented. And was the reason why I resigned. This is that was my first job as an attorney, and within months hired in August of 2016, and I resigned in November of 2016. only because of the harassment. That's why. And the state was monitoring me at that time. And every single last one of those weirdos, okay, officers of the court, lawyers, in addition to those who are not sworn into the bar. But I am just speaking to the fact that it is indiscriminate with regard to your specific identity, but you are also speaking to what is criminal monitoring by those who are sworn into the bar to practice law in the state of California. They are engaged in the same exact pattern of conduct, and by the way, they are the same ones that I'm also documenting. They meaning lawyers, officers of the court, judges engaged in what are fictitious prosecutions to conceal the state system, a malicious prosecution to conceal the state system. They're engaged in the same kidnapping, the abduction of my person by maintenance of such criminal acts in a court, and the judges the same. And I worked with that. I worked with those professionals, not those specific professionals in the Rancho Cucamonga courthouse, but officers of the court who were engaged in the state's pattern of conduct before I was aware that I was being monitored. But this pattern of harassment has always existed. Now what you have is the pattern of conduct is exposed. Okay, the criminal elements are made known, and as they are engaging in that. And so what you have is harassment in the form of your engagement in the state's pattern of conduct is the communication of a threat. It is sexually violent conduct as you engage in it. It is that which is inherently harassment. This is harassment on a whole other level. This is in violation of federal law as you are acting and facilitating a public entity's ability to monitor you, and that in a work environment. And so I just want to be clear with regard to the significance of the state's pattern of conduct as it was ceaselessly underway at Country Village Apartments, located at 10250 Country Club Drive, Jurupa Valley, California, zip code 91752, and that is Riverside County. Again, that's a different county, different city, same exact pattern of conduct. It is in operation everywhere you go, everywhere that I go. And that's what my documentation also establishes. And I'm just speaking to that which is every employer that I have had engaging in this. So this is relevant to the prosecution of the people in that capacity of employer-employee, where the state has been monitoring for years. And this is literally taking down the names of where I have been and they have been monitoring systematically and engaging in everything that I am speaking to with regard to the creation of policy of prosecuting the public entity that is acting vicariously through the people. That is going toward every place that I have already worked, every place that I have already lived, where that P.O.C. was underway, unbeknownst to me. And this is the significance of that. And so I just want to be clear, those that I was beginning to name in my audio documentation, I'm going to go ahead and name those now. Andrea Marquez, and this is the office personnel who are systematically surrounding in the office, literally as they walk by, as they sit at their desk, as they are on, for instance, in another room, and then they enter the room. Everything that they are doing is serving P.O.C. at the moment that they do it, at the time. You're centering it on what I am doing, the activity that the state is creating, be that light activity, be that audible activity. Everything that they are doing as they are doing it is serving P.O.C. This is not just a random walking by and sitting down and walking in and out of the room or being in another room. Understand the walls, the ceiling, a doorway is in no way any obstruction to the pattern of conduct. They're monitoring with communication devices. And this is literally the deliberate action by the group as they are monitoring me at that workspace inside of Country Village, the leasing office. Okay, so this is Andrea Marquez, Cecilia Murillo, Grace CUAUTLE, Crystal Johnson, the assistant manager, Pat Caldwell, who on more than one occasion came to engage in the state's pattern of conduct at the office, Jim COTTOM, FLORY, CALDERON, Kimberly Jones, MARISSA Ramirez, and another third party whose first name is Hannah. I did not get her last name, but I also got her license plate, which is documented as well. And that is just the office personnel who mainly were working in the office, engaging in the P.O.C., keeping me surrounded in that office. But as I stated, outside third-party residents and the people generally maintaining presence, coming in and asking a question, coming in, filling out, whatever the guise under which they're maintaining presence. They were surrounding outside of the building, surrounding inside. That's what the office personnel were chiefly engaged in, and doing so through the maintenance personnel, and doing so through the very residents of the community. UPS, USPS, Amazon Prime, Spectrum, engaging in P.O.C, creating light activity on the grounds of the property. The state's fake sun literally remaining over my head where I am on the village, on the grounds on the property of Country Village. It is an expansive property. It's 1,247 units. And as I stand by the market area, and again, based on familiarity with the property, this is all to be, what I'm talking about is clearly illustrated at federal prosecution. But as I stand, for example, by the shops on the property grounds, the state's fake sun is over my head there. As I stand at the parking lot, the state's fake sun is clearly in a distinctly different position, maintaining presence directly over me. As I walk to the backside of that building, of the office building, where the employee entrance is, the state's fake sun is clearly migrated to a different location to be directly over me there. And this is both in the morning and in the afternoon. It's moving all over the place. As I go to the models, which are in building 66, the state's fake sun moving to be over me at that building. So this is the state's light source moving all around to maintain presence directly over me while I'm being monitored. And this is while the state is stalking with sirens. The state is sounding helicopter activity flying over, which I captured in video, and I wrote down as it was occurring. And this is documentation of the surveillance cameras. That is documentation serving the purpose of prosecuting the people of the state, the public entity engaged in monitoring. And while the entity is monitoring the documentation, any destruction or the absence of the provision of such surveillance is nothing but a federal charge of criminal obstruction of justice. The state that is monitoring is in no way ignorant of your cataloging its criminal conduct. Okay, so they're aware of the fact when you mention surveillance cameras, you've had third parties that have turned off their surveillance cameras, aware of the fact that I'm documenting in that manner, and understand in any way they are in no way avoiding what is federal prosecution. You'll catch a charge, you want to remove it, you'll be federally charged for that. In addition to that, I have shown how the state has engaged in a pattern of conduct, and what you have, and including the act of what is abduction of the person of the target individual, kidnapping, where that's a part of the fact pattern. I am stating that where ordinarily to establish the prima facie case, you do need independently corroborating documentation, but where kidnapping is a part of the fact pattern and the people of the state of California are engaged in ceaseless monitoring with the public entity that has engaged in kidnapping, and the people of the state engaged in criminal summoning in order to secure that kidnapping, acting in concert with that public entity, understand direct testimony is sufficient. So not only is getting rid of surveillance not going to stop what is the direct testimony of that targeted individual subject to kidnapping by the entity acting directly and vicariously, it will be a charge of criminal obstruction of justice, seeking to avoid being documented, engaging in the criminal system. A surveillance camera is nothing but proof of presence. Everywhere that I am, the P.O.C is underway. So they can be on camera making copies, they can be on camera leasing apartments, they can be on camera signing a lease, doing whatever it is. They're doing it in relevant position while the state's fake sun is there, while directed light is all over, in a carnival of lights, literally, inside of the building, and they are monitoring, okay? And that's what you are listening to. It is entirely malicious conduct. They are psychopaths, they are sex offenders, all right? And they are stalkers, all right? And intentionally so. And these psychopaths are listening to every word that is gathered against them to be submitted in the form of what is federal court. And this specific actor, Country Village, an agent on behalf of Beacon Property Management, representing what are the people of the state of California, monitoring via property management, the business of this venue, using it as a means of monitoring me. And they are engaging in what is the sexually violent aspect, which is inherent to the state's P.O.C, and the improper dismissal while you are monitoring me and then dismissing me from that work assignment. This is going to the creation of policy where you're being monitored in a professional space and then demonstrating hostility to that documentation, which the targeted individual is legally required to to maintain, as you are documenting that which is threatening your life and your physical safety and your well-being, okay, while you're being harassed on the job and they're sexually violating you and then dismissing you from that which I am overqualified, in no way having any issues whatsoever of performing that which I'm, entirely overly qualified to perform. All right. I do property management as side work. In between what I was doing was practicing law. I have been started property management in 2013, I believe. So this is the improper dismissal from work while you are monitoring. And guess what? Any claim which is going to serve what is criminal defamation, all right, that's serving the state's pattern of conduct while you make any derogatory or any statement in any way affecting what is the public stance of that target individual that you are monitoring in concert with the state, that will also go toward P.O.C. because it's not about the performance, you're monitoring. All right. And that's the bottom line. So everything is tainted by the criminal conduct of the people of the state, by the criminal system and CECILIA operation at that venue, which is a work setting. And this is what they engaged in. Acting in concert with JTSP, the contractor through whom I was given this work assignment on the basis of my ability to perform, by the way. And so while I was performing, I was documenting in violation of no law whatsoever. They are in every way in violation of the law. This is a pattern of conduct, though, and this is to be addressed under federal law. This is P.O.C., and that is everything that I want to address and what is speaking to the significance of documenting the state's P.O.C. in what is a work setting. Where was I working? It was Country Village apartment homes in JURUPA Valley. That's Riverside County, the same exact pattern of conduct underway. And then punctuated with what is the unlawful. Okay, that is an act of criminal obstruction of justice. That's how you are legally analyzing that. Criminal obstruction of justice. It is also an ongoing act of criminal harassment while you engage in, as you monitor and sexually violate, harass, and threaten, and then you dismiss from that work assignment, and you're doing so while you're monitoring. It is reasonably construed as that which is hostility to that documentation, which the target individual maintains every right to do so. That is the P.O.C. March 11th, 2021 at 3:26 p.m. All right, I have been capturing images inside of what is the state's directed light, that is engineered light, while these group stalkers at Country Village maintain physical presence, that is group stalking at work, intentionally maintaining activity, maintaining presence in the path as I move, as I make any movements, while the state's fake sun remains present, planted over the venue. Understand also what is directed light that I'm capturing on the walls, on the ceiling. When I'm also pointing the location where the state is literally aiming what is moving light, okay? Not only is this monitoring conduct, this is demonic activity. This is an ongoing threat communicated by the people of the state that are engaged in intentional maintenance of perpetual presence in the path. They are group stalking at work. All right, intentionally engaging in activity while they are intentionally present on behalf of that entity that is monitoring and engaging in conduct in order to engage in that criminal monitoring in concert with that public entity that I also captured engaging in stalking via helicopter and airplanes for a prolonged period of time. I stepped out and captured 2 separate videos. Understand that was ongoing helicopter activity over the property, over the building, while the state's fake sun is also over the building. The behavioral pattern of moving in with light, that is a threat. Understand where the government is monitoring you, and you understand light to be a mode of monitoring with communication devices. That's a threat that the state is communicating, and that the people of the state that are engaged in malicious monitoring conduct, which is direct criminal activity threatening your life, your physical safety, your overall well-being, while they are with real-time knowledge of your documentation because they're monitoring with communication devices, aware of every move that you're making, listening to you in the bathroom, listening to you while you're physically indisposed, stalking with their presence and stalking with activity, while the state is stalking with light. And they are engaged in ongoing intentional conduct to facilitate the state's ability to monitor you, which they are fully engaged in concert with that entity. They hear the helicopter activity. They're engaged in maintaining presence in the path, walking all around in the office and all around inside and outside while the state is creating that amplified audible activity via helicopter, which is an unprecedented level of threatening criminal conduct, while you are intentionally monitoring someone, while you're at the job and on cameras engaging in what is demonic and intentionally malicious criminal conduct. Hi. This is that which is the identical behavioral pattern in what is a different city, a different county. This is Riverside County, all right? This is the identical behavioral pattern that I captured in and throughout the city of Ontario, where the state's fake sun at this time remained. Remember, this is just my most recent documentation. I have already established the state stalking with light. But let's be clear, my most recent playlist showing how the state is stalking with light remaining on the side, literally over me and above me as I am beside Ontario Ovitt Family Community Library. It is captured squarely above the Senior Center, squarely above 280 North Lemon Apartments, moving up and forward and backwards as I move. Understand, as the state is stalking with light, that's exactly what they're doing at Country Village Apartments. These are psychopaths, they're sex offenders, and they're doing so via property management. This is the people of the state of California, and they are engaged in what is demonic group conduct, and it is monitoring. And these are sickos. Understand, they're engaged in the state's pattern of conduct, and it is intentional, and it is criminal, and it is demonic. It is sick. It is very, very sick. Understand, these people who you're working with are listening to you in the bathroom, listening to you take your clothes off, listening to you move around, know exactly what you're doing when you are doing it, and this is why the state's conduct of stalking is prefacing all of that. It's the absence of coincidence. It is the unveiling of what is an unprecedented level of criminal conduct. The state's engagement in aiming that light underneath a shaded area which surrounds this building at Country Village Apartments, aiming it underneath that shaded area, aiming it inside of the doorway. This is the behavioral pattern. This is what the state does that I have shown. This is impossible light activity. This is not even occurring in any manner that conforms to the state's placement of its fake sun. Understand that. The state is directing light in multiple directions. The state keeps its light source, which is a fake sun, directly over where I am located. The state is also directing light in all manner of directions with real-time simultaneity to anything that I'm doing as I am doing it. The people of the state of California are engaged in literally stalking in their cars at the community. They're driving all they're doing. That's called patrolling. It's demonic conduct, and this entire community is showing what is a picture of that which the state is engaged in on a systematic basis everywhere that I go, including while inside of a state facilitating venue, which was West Valley Detention Center, which was Central Detention Center, which was Glen Helen Rehabilitation Center. They're literally doing the exact same thing under the guise of what is property management, okay? And so this is that which is fully communicated as a threat, reasonably construed as such by Country Village. Understand, this is a Beacon Property Management. They are agents of that property management. Understand, that is nothing but a company whereby the people of the state are engaged in criminal conduct, monitoring of an unprecedented level of threatening criminal conduct and sexually violent criminal conduct. It is that which is an unfounded level of malice. This is that which a psychopath is engaged in. They are engaged in a level of psychopath conduct as a group corporately. All right. All of the psychopaths listening to you, all of the psychopaths monitoring with the state that is molesting you. They are therefore molesting you as well. Present in order to monitor you with communication devices, creating activity and noise in order to monitor you with communication devices, while, mind you, they are touching in an unlawful manner. You have no right whatsoever to touch. While, mind you, you are stalking and representing that very government, molesting your person. All right, and doing so while you're also in a private space, okay? This is P.O.C, and that's what I'm capturing inside. I'm capturing the locations where the state is aiming what is never occurring naturally, that is light, manifests and appearing on the surfaces all around. Understand, that's communication of a threat. So this is the legal analysis for what the state is engaged in. The state's P.O.C is ceaseless, and I am showing what the state is engaged in while you are what? At your job. This is that which the target individual ordinarily has no awareness of it occurring. I am showing you how it is not only criminal, it is also that which is to be a matter of prosecution specifically tailored to the people of the state of California, indiscriminate to that identity, to that location, to the manner in which they are engaged in that criminal conduct, and they represent the government. This is the government that's sitting in this office with me, walking all around me, driving all around me, coming and knocking on the door, monitoring me. That's all they're doing on a ceaseless basis, and they're doing it on camera, okay? This is P.O.C. It is currently 3:33 p.m. I did step outside after taking those pictures of what is the state's directed light, coming inside of the building under the shaded area, which is directly on the outside of the building. This is going to be shade underneath that building. It's not shade. The state is aiming light underneath that shaded area. The state is aiming light inside of the building. The state is aiming light creeping in farther and farther underneath my desk. This is absolutely impossible light activity that is never going to occur from the sun, let alone this is also that which is mutually exclusive to that which I've already documented. The state's fake sun remaining at this moment on the side, physically present, and its zenith, mind you, as I've shown, on the side of the Ontario Ovitt Family Community Library in the city of Ontario, okay? And that also in comparison to every other place where I have documented, and it remained for the entirety of the day while I remain there, that's where the state's fake sun is, all right? This is the state stalking with light. Why are you stalking with light? Because the people of the state of California are monitoring, and they are monitoring on a massive scale. And in the same way that the state is stalking in this paranoid psychopath level, hovering manner, the people of the state of California are engaged in the same exact conduct. All of them listening in real time to every word that I'm uttering, all of them awaiting what is an inevitable prosecution because they are waging a threat against American citizens, and I am one showing how the state is engaged in maintaining corporate presence, maintaining corporate knowledge, and capable of maintaining that monitoring conduct. And it is through the people of the state who are filling this office, who are surrounding this office, who are acting with the state that is surrounding by helicopters, by airplanes, by sirens, and with a fake sun and light all around inside and outside of the building. That is an ongoing threat. All right, while they're looking at your face and talking to you as though they are working, all they're doing is monitoring. It is not only is it pathetic, okay, because I'm stripping it down to what are nothing but elements of criminal monitoring, I'm showing how that's a psychopath. And that is a sex offender, all right? Identifying every single last one of them, my name, Kelly Johnson. This is Kim Jones. This is CECILIA Marie.